We are talking quarterback contracts on today's show, and more specifically, Dak Prescott's contract. And two big things: why he could get less than we expected him to get, and number two, the one specific thing that both sides are fighting about. Let's get to it. Here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live Sunday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central, and catching up with you guys in between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with these quick hitting videos. Cowboys quarterback contracts. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about Dak Prescott's situation. Still under contract just for the 2024 NFL season. We're still figuring out if these two sides will get it done. The Cowboys and Dak have openly suggested that they're ready to play out the season and see what happens in 2025. The Cowboys have said they want Dak Prescott, yet they have not really have any meaningful talks, according to several reporters. That includes Todd Archer from ESPN, Jane Slater from NFL Network, who previously said that there was no offer on the table yet for Dak Prescott to even consider. And recently, Todd Archer said on an article for ESPN that just like the Cowboys are willing to play it cool, so is Dak Prescott, who happens to have a ton of leverage going into 2024 because he has a no tag clause, no trade clause, and he knows he's got this ticket to 2025 NFL free agency where we never see quarterbacks of that caliber pretty much hit the open market, and his value could skyrocket just because of all of the bidders and desperate teams out there that might throw a disgusting amount of money his way just to get him to play for their teams. With that in mind, the big question here is, why hasn't it been done, right? Why hasn't the contract been done? And our minds immediately go to the value. Or what is Dak Prescott worth in an NFL where the top paid quarterback is Joe Burrow, at least in average value per year, at $55 million. There's Justin Herbert at $52.5 million, Lamar Jackson at 52. And a lot of us have been thinking, you know what? That could go all the way to $60 million per year. There are several reasons for that, though. There are several reasons for that. And I think the big one, and this is why I would use the $60 million mark as the projected mark for Dak Prescott, is that Joe Burrow and company between 2022 and 2023, the top of the quarterback market grew by over 9%. So if you just take out your calculator and multiply Joe Burrow's value to, that 9% increase, it comes out around $60 million, just above that mark, if you use the exact rate and all that. So if we were to use that market growth rate as a rule for Dak Prescott's future deal, $60 million would make a lot of sense. The thing is, it might not be that easy. And I always like to read from Jason Fitzgerald because he's so smart when it comes to the salary cap, man. He's the author of an amazing book, which I recommend to NFL fans that consider themselves big-time, diehard nerds of the NFL, right? And you want to read about the salary cap, Crunching Numbers is an amazing book from Jason Fitzgerald. But his website over on overthecap.com also has a lot of value with these breakdowns that he does in articles. And he looked at the quarterback market growth in a recent piece that it was published last weekend. Just got my eyes on it today, and I decided to make this show about this, even though I already had another topic in mind. But although Joel Corey, I will refer to him, the CBS writer who is a former agent and also provides a ton of value when it comes to contract talk, he used that 41% number that I just referred to earlier on the show. But the way that Jason Fitzgerald breaks it down is a little bit different. And he basically separates quarterbacks that have signed for top paid deals, right, and have become the top paid quarterbacks in the NFL. He puts them into two buckets. One of them are the true superstars, and we'll get to the definition of those two buckets. and the other one is the other top paid quarterbacks that have reached the top of the market. The big thing here is that in one bucket, there are players that on average have pushed up the market values by 10.6% every time that they've reached a new deal. And in this bucket of players, there's Aaron Rodgers, who I believe is on that list 3 times, right? He's there in 2013, and then he's again there in 2018, and then the most recent contract that he signed, 2022, and he increased the market by 17% that one time, which was insane. There's also Andrew Luck. There's Patrick Mahomes, obviously. And bear with me. Do not overreact to the following 3 names. Don't worry. But the next names on the superstar list are Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, and Matthew Stafford. Now, your mind, if it's anything like mine, would go, how are we just straight up calling Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford a superstar quarterback and not Dak Prescott? But here's the thing. Fitzgerald is most likely just looking at the percentages by which they have pushed up the market values, right? So, for example, in 2017, Matthew Stafford grew the market by 8%. Matt Ryan grew the market by 7.1%. And all of these numbers are on overthecap.com. And Josh Allen grew it by 7.5%, while other quarterbacks, and I will include Dak Prescott in here because his 2021 deal is on the list, Dak Prescott raised the bar by just 1.1%. Jalen Hurts recently raised the bar by 1.4%. Lamar Jackson, 2%. Justin Herbert, 1%, right? Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson, both below 5%. A little bit higher than the others at 4-point-something% each of them. But the point here is there are 2 buckets of QBs in the NFL that have become the top paid guys at their position. And each time they've grown the market, obviously, because otherwise they wouldn't be the top paid quarterbacks in the league. And a group of them, on average, has raised the market by 10.6%, the other by 1.3% in average. In that bucket is Dak Prescott from 2021, right? His deal from 2021. I believe, and by the way, before I get to my conclusion and all of this, Fitzgerald lays out the following argument, right? That if Dak ends up getting the same deal that he got back in 2021 or a similar increase, right? He would be raising the market by, say, 1.3%, and he would land somewhere around the $56 million range. Here are the exact numbers that he uses. 55.5 and 56.5 per year, assuming he is the first to sign a contract and Dallas doesn't get bogged down in the Jared Goff comparisons. But just to be clear here, Jared Goff, he is not talking about the new deal because I don't believe Jared Goff became the highest paid guy above Joe Burrow, so he's not on the list. But he could be under $16 million per year if he grows it by just 1-point-something%. So I believe what the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are currently fighting about is, does Dak belong with Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, with that bucket of QBs, or does he belong with the Aaron Rodgers of the world, Patrick Mahomes of the world, that even Josh Allen, I'm going to include him here, those superstar quarterbacks, and again, I use that designation the way that Jason Fitzgerald used it, of players who have really raised the market by over 7%, right? Where does Dak Prescott fall in between those 2 categories? I can guarantee you that Dak and his camp are arguing that he's on the superstar tier because he was the second-team All-Pro last year. He was the runner-up for MVP. And with him under center, the Cowboys have been one of the winningest teams in the NFL when it comes to the regular season. On the other hand, the Cowboys are like, no. Where's the playoff success? As a team, sure, it is a team stat and everything, but you've been the quarterback of the team, and you don't have the playoff success that Patrick Mahomes has, or even that Andrew Luck had at one point. And I know Andrew Luck's career is weird to evaluate, but they've been to the championship game, right? That's something the Cowboys can tell Dak Prescott. I'm not arguing against Dak. I'm just laying out the point of view of both of these franchises. And they're also potentially pointing towards the fact that in 2021, you increased the market by 1.1%, and you're older now, and you have a couple more injuries on you now. So it's very difficult really to agree on where Dak Prescott lands among these quarterbacks. But the one thing that Dak really has going for him is that most of these QBs that we just talked about have never had the leverage that Dak has at this point of his career, with that no tag clause, with that no trade clause, and a honestly remarkable season in 2023. I know no one liked how it ended, but it still was a remarkable season. Runner-up for the MVP, as we all know. And now he's looking ahead at 2025 and being like, we can talk about all of these percentages about the market growth rate, but if we position ourselves in March 2025, none of that is really going to matter, because all of the rules go out the window the moment it is a bidding war. And it will be a bidding war if Dak hits free agency. And it might get a little bit crazy with the way the NFL franchises that do not have a quarterback want a quarterback. And Dak knows that, and Dak's agent obviously knows that, to where if we get to March 2025, all of these rules that we're talking about and the market growth rates and the averages, they likely don't matter, because at that point, it just becomes a huge bidding war. We just saw something similar with Kirk Cousins, but he's 36 years old and fresh off of an Achilles injury. Dak is going to be 32 years old by the time the 2025 season starts, and he's been better than Kirk Cousins over the last few years. So it's going to be interesting. But I really liked Jason Fitzgerald's article, because I think it really boiled it down to that one question. In which of these two tiers, the 1.3% tier or the 10.6% tier, in which of this does Dak Prescott belong? Let me know in the chat. What do you think between those two groups? Is Dak Prescott a superstar contract-wise, or is he somebody that is just going to raise the market a little bit? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? And if you like the video, hit the like button for me. I hope that you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you live on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central. Bye-bye.